That, ladies and gentlemen, and once in a while we'll always have gremlins and face a few little tech issues, but I think we always come out winning. As I said earlier, we will always have formulas to deal with those challenges, and our cabs continue playing here, and these cabs belong to Mitty, and not sure whether I need to keep my hopes or my excitement going, because the other day we have been having 4 cabs. Every other day we have been able to see these cabs of Mitty, and 3 days ago I saw 3 out of 4, and today I got 2 out of 4. Well, as the sun is giving such a beautiful face, as you know, it is setting, and what I call a golden moment, I still want that to remain in my heart as a golden moment when I am thinking of the other 2 cabs in my heart, and knowing they're in good hands with a grandmother who is called Kingtail. Now, those 2 cabs are fully grown. They're having their wonderful time, just playing there 6 months, a good time. And I think these ones are almost to make it through, because they were around here before the migration left. I'm talking about the wildebeest and zebras, and they have survived since the wildebeest went. What did you grab for yourself there? Is it a piece of meat or a piece of stick? Or are you just being playful? Make sure you don't eat anything that can hurt you. Now, these 2 cabs are the ones I've been seeing for the last, I would say, 15, 20 minutes. I've been here, or half an hour. And my question is, that is limp walking. If you look at her, you see she's walking a little, not very best way to walk. And I'm wondering where the other 2 cabs are. I might be having more questions than us, because if I would have seen the 4 of them together from 3 the other day, I would be like Vela, all under control, everything back in business. But now from 4 to 3 to 2, hopefully not to 1. Ravinda, I would say at this age, you'd like to know what diseases they attract. Well, unless they get cold, I would say cold is a big thing for cabs at this age. I would say some normal flu. Hopefully I'm not picking flu myself, but I would say out of my experience, anything below 2 years, they pick a lot of pneumonia. Very difficult for them, say, to get tuberculosis or anthrax, unless of course they are at an age where they can eat meat. We might say yes, they might, get anthrax. But I say for me, cold, flu, and pneumonia, Ravinda, is one of some of the diseases they would easily get at this particular age, before maybe they get to 1 year. But this one seems, Ravinda, to be making it through. From their play mode, you can tell they're in the best spirits, good muscles, and they can handle any situation that may come to them. So, Mitty, if only you could talk to me, as Isaac likes saying, the animal language or the lioness language here, I would be more than happy to know where your 2 other cabs are, and you can calm my nerves. I'm not worried, as I said earlier, but the question is, where are your 2 other babies? They should be with you, jumping and playing around, unless, of course, they are playing with their first cousins, with the cabs from the Kingtail. It's a very big possibility. Joy, hopefully Joy in Hong Kong, not sure, but Joy, you're asking, is the smallest of Mitty's cab here? Yes, Joy, she is here, or he is here. Let me call it, it's here. And the smallest cab of Mitty is the one that had disappeared. You remember, Joy, 2 weeks ago? And when we saw all the 4 together, you could tell, Joy, it looked a little small, a bit slow, and not in very good shape or good spirit like the other 3 cabs. But I would say it has recovered remarkably and very well, because it's almost the same size as the other 3 cabs. So, Joy, of the 2 that I got here, it's one of them. And they're going to show you who it is if they all stand together, because initially you could tell, because it looked a little bit dark, and is the one behind, not the one in the front. The one you see now, Joy, that's the one that had disappeared. Now it's back in the fold. The wind has started to pick up here, and also it's spitting a bit. As I said earlier, we have started to see signs. Look back, you're asking, should we be concerned of the missing cubs? Not at all, not at this stage, because as I said earlier, 2 weeks ago, one of the cubs of Mitty disappeared, and we were not worried. A lot of things would go wrong, and on the third day, it resurfaced, and it's here with me now. So these are the two. From the body language of the mother, it looks all good. So at this particular point in time, let's not worry about the two cubs that are missing in action. And I still want to believe they're with their grandmother, Kingtail. Being such an experienced mother, being the oldest in this particular pride, I think all is what I would call Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata, for those of you who do not know, means no worries, under control, and all is well. That is for our local language. I remember we're talking about Swahili or Kiswahili when we started the drive earlier, and that phrase, it's very big here in Kenya, of Hakuna Matata. So we've got two of those cubs here, and I'm sure either tomorrow we'll catch up the other one. Romet, always a pleasure to hear your name, and you're wondering with the long grass, anything could have happened. Yeah, Romet, I would agree with you. There's a lot of possibilities here out in the grass. And Romet, I'm sure you know, Limpy, one of the females here, initially she had two cubs. And after about a month or two, she lost one. And it took us, even today, I mean, you know, months later, nobody knows Romet. You know, that's a good possibility. But this long grass, unless maybe, I don't know, trying to think of something like a caracal, you know, a big prey, you know, that hunt in the grass and sneak or chance on maybe pouncing on a baby lioness, I highly doubt. But the grass, as you say, is quite tall. Most of it is about 3 feet, 4 feet. I'm not sure whether you can remember last time maybe you visited here, and it's even getting taller. So there's a possibility in the grass anything would have happened. Maybe having a small snooze in the grass. There's an African rock python. That's easy to get. A strong eagle, like a martial eagle, who knows? But Romit, let's for now cross fingers and hope the other two cubs are alive and well wherever they are. Well, we have one more look at this. Are they getting flat now, Archie? I think they can feel the rain, and they're either all going flat. And not sure whether to go browse in some little thicket and see if I could chance on Kingtail or whether I could hear her calling. T-Hawk, I'm not sure whether the question was something about genetic problem. Was it about Kingtail? I'm not sure what exactly your question was. I'm sure Mary will give me that question again as we watch that one lioness moving away. Good question. And you're asking about pale cubs and cubs that are not pale. Not exactly, but what I found out, some of the pale cubs turn out to be males. That's my own experience. And the ones that are not pale turn out to be females. Not always, but I would say 8 out of 10 times, I've always noticed the pale cubs will turn out males and not having issues of genetics. So they all turn out well, and I think being pale or not pale does not have any genetic issues. When you look at their growth or how they survive starvation or how they survive diseases, I think color does not really come in very much in terms of their survival. So that I definitely believe is Mitty, the lioness, walking behind there, and closely followed by her two cubs, of course going to join the other two females. Of course, safety or strength in numbers. She does not want to tag along very much. I mean, behind very much on her own, knowing that cubs at this particular age, they're very vulnerable. Well, very well done for the Sausage Tree girls. They've done very well. We'll take you across to South Africa to Tristan because he got a spotted cat.
Well, as you can see, not really much view of little Kalamba at the moment. She's really hidden terribly behind grass, and she's found herself a spot where she can kind of just take it easy and flop down. And so is the challenges we have in summer when they're not in a tree. And it's very tricky to actually kind of see them, but at least there we've got some sort of visual of her tummy and at her kind of sort of side, and maybe one eye as well if it's open. You can see her, but she's having a bit of a nap now. No sign of Thandi. We found the tree where Thandi had her carcass in it, but unfortunately it seems as though that tree, there's no sign of Thandi anywhere near it. There's still some skin of the carcass up there, and there's obviously the impala carcass of the little lamb is still around, but I don't know where Thandi is. She must be here somewhere. She's probably just doing exactly like Kalamba is doing now, and unless you drive on top of her, you're not going to spot her in this long grass, unfortunately. So we'll hopefully kind of see her come out just now, hoping that she might walk towards the carcass and go up the tree now that it's around sort of sunset. It's cooled down massively since we started our afternoon, and so I was hoping with the sun setting that we might get one of them going up into the tree itself. But alas, little Kalamba is sleepy. Thandi at the moment is, well, she's nowhere to be seen. So we just sit and we wait and we hope that our luck will change at some point and we'll kind of get them going up and down. Maybe they're waiting for everybody else to leave. She was so obliging when we first arrived. She took us on a nice walk. She went and drank. And then as soon as everybody else arrived, she just decided to kind of plonk herself down in the worst possible spot in order to kind of take it easy and sleep. I suppose for her it's a great spot. She's very well camouflaged. And it's easy to kind of sit tight inside there. But you can see the flies are driving her mad. I was talking about it earlier, that the flies are out of control again today. And so tough for her to be able to deal with them. And constantly she's biting at the air and kind of swatting with her paws, and her ears are flicking. And it's not comfortable sleeping in the summer months in comparison to winter time. Let's see how we go. And like I say, I think patience is going to be the key here. Eventually we're going to find one of them is going to pitch up and go up into the tree itself where the carcass is. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the next sort of half an hour or so. That sun is getting very low now, and as it starts to get darker, so it gets to the right sort of time to be able to kind of move around. It's a lot cooler, a lot easier for them to be able to move around, and certainly not as uncomfortable to be in direct sunlight. Also, on top of that, they can get out of the way of hyenas that undoubtedly will find this spot at some point tonight with the amount of vehicles that have moved around and the general smell. You'll find that there will be hyenas that will move into this area. But for now, it's flat, sleepy kitty, that's for sure. You'll hear a vehicle that's moving around in the background, and that vehicle is kind of just leaving. So I was hoping that might trigger her to stand up and move around, but she doesn't seem to be too kind of interested. So Lizelle, I mean, it's debatable as to how long she's going to look after Kalamba for. It's a lot. She's already kind of the same age as what Tumba was when she left him. So who knows? I mean, it might be now, it might be in a month, it might be 2 months, it might be as much as 2 years. Well, not 2 years till she leaves her, but when Kalamba reaches 2 years old, which will be in November, October, November. So, it's debatable. I mean, we don't know. I suspect in the next sort of 3 months or so, we're going to see the relationship starting to deteriorate and Kalamba spending far more time on her own. That's what I would imagine. Whether or not that is going to be the case is obviously remains to be seen. I think it depends entirely on Thandi, and if she comes into an estrus cycle, mates, and falls pregnant. If she falls pregnant, then, well, you never know. Maybe she's going to kind of start moving away a little bit faster, or maybe it's going to take much longer until she actually just comes into an estrus cycle. So it'll be interesting, that's for sure. Most of her cubs she's left fairly young, but Tumba was definitely the youngest of the batch, and so it'll be interesting to see how much Tlalamba kind of stays with Mom. I suppose it's also dependent on the individual. Tlalamba seems to be quite attached to the fact that Mom gives her food and typically harasses Tandi wherever she goes. But I'll tell you what, the flies really are seriously irritating today, so I sympathize with her at the moment, and she's constantly having to kind of swat at them in ears, and her head lifts all the time, and you can see she's getting annoyed by them, and it's these biting flies particularly that are irritating. The sweat bees are one thing, but biting flies are a whole nother story. They land on you, and it's just kind of this increased pressure into your skin, and eventually it starts to hurt, and so it's not very pleasant at all when they're around. You can imagine in the inside of a leopard's ear, it must be seriously annoying. Their hearing is so adept and so good that it must be very irritating on those sensory hairs as those little flies move around and kind of crawl around close to their eardrums, and that's why the ears are constantly going to move while she's sitting here. You'll find the flies also congregate around her nose and her eye area, as well as her mouth section, so anywhere where there's a little bit of moisture where they can be able to kind of harvest that moisture off is where you'll start to see the kind of fly congregations taking place. But shame, it looks uncomfortable, that's for sure. Amazing how well she camouflages though, and you think about it. Now there goes another vehicle, so let's see if this is going to prompt her to wake up a little bit. I don't think so. I think she's quite happy to have a little nap. She was waited for us to first arrive before she woke up, and now is kind of going to take it very easy after her drink and a full tummy. It's quite interesting trying to see how people kind of spot her, because she really is difficult to actually see unless if she lies like this now with the white. It's much easier, but when she was lying on her tummy, then it becomes a lot trickier because that white isn't nearly as visible as what it is now, and that makes life quite tricky to spot these guys. So if she hadn't been in the tree, or the carcass wasn't in the tree this morning, I don't think James and Trishada would have spotted them unless they had tracks, but it would have been very tricky to kind of see them in this area. It's seriously difficult. You have to be, we at the moment are probably less than 5 meters, or maybe 5 meters from where she is, and even then we've got a very, very kind of obscured visual of her lying in the grass like this. So Sherry, what keeps her from jumping onto the car? Nothing, really. She could, if she wanted to, run and jump onto the car. But if she did jump onto the car, she's going to get shouted at, 1, from me. 2, the car will probably start and rev, and that noise alone will frighten her. And 3, she's never really been taught to jump onto the car. So Mom has never used the car as a safety point. If she's been chased by something, she's never been taught to hunt it, or seen Mom hunt it, or fed on a car. And so there's no real reason for her to do it. I mean, it does happen, and there are recorded cases of leopards jumping onto a car, but we try and dissuade it as much as possible. So any animal actually should never really be making contact with the vehicle. And that goes from, from elephants to leopard to cheetah. If you're somebody that goes particularly to East Africa and you have a cheetah on your car, you need to reprimand your guide immediately. It is not acceptable to allow animals to be climbing all over vehicles. It's not the way that things should be done. It's only asking for trouble, and ultimately those animals should never kind of have that advantage to be able to use it for height or anything like that. So you really shouldn't encourage that kind of stuff, as much as it might seem cool to have a kind of cheetah face sniffing at you or leopard or whatever. It really isn't cool when something then happens to a kid or something like that. And if that behavior is encouraged, well, it's only going to get worse. Right, anyway, enough of that. Let's kind of hope and sit and wait and see whether or not we're going to get some movement. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Ali, who's got, well, a tawny carpet, I would imagine, in the form of the Nkuhumas.
I feel like Marcel Marcel deserves a round of applause. Well done, Marcel. Well done. He managed to get the Garo repeater up, so this is now we've got signal. So we've rushed all the way back to try and have a look at the Nkuhumas. I was a little bit scared that, maybe out of a twist of fate that they weren't going to be around here, but as you can all see, they are indeed all around here. We've counted about 11 of them. I'm not too sure if maybe I've counted one twice, but it seems about appropriate. The grass is very long, so it's making it a little bit tricky to find out. And if I start driving around up and down, then I'm just going to bother them and potentially, interrupt their siesta, which is not what we want to do. And it seems like out of their own accord, they're all starting to become a little bit more active, which is great news. They are looking like they would like to have a meal. I don't think they're looking particularly full. So yesterday we had a few things around that might have been of their interest. There were some impala, some kudu, some zebras, so pretty sure that could have been nice for them. Where are you going, girl? I wonder if she's just going to move and then she's going to sit somewhere else and perhaps enjoy a bit more of the breeze that's coming in, or if she's actually going to start walking in search of their next meal. The rest of the pride, however, you can see are not particularly bothered. They're all still half awake, half asleep. Some heads are up, some heads are down. But seems like slowly but surely at least a few have gotten their eyes open. Oop. Nice big stretch. Yawn. Oh, downward dog, and off they go. It's a bit of a tricky situation with them. We are not too far from the boundary, and it was actually a bit of they're in an area that's not too easy to maneuver, a lot of trees and broken down trees, so it's not too easy to follow them around. But hopefully they'll carry on walking north and east is the direction where we want them to go. That way we'll be able to enjoy their company for a little while longer just as the sun goes down. Everybody's still waking up. Oh look, imitating each other. The one starts scratching and the other one realizes it's got an itch in its ear. Alright, it seems like it's that time of the day where we welcome one of the schools on the school drive. So Kruger is still in school. Very warm welcome from all of us at Safari Live. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is David, and we are of course enjoying the company of this beautiful pride of lions. They have been sleeping for not too long today, I must say. They tend to sleep for about maybe 16 hours in a day, and we do know that this morning they were up and moving, and then they crossed because they were in another reserve where we couldn't see them, and now they have managed to cross all the way back using, of course, the main road. Now, it seems like we've gotten them just at the right time as they're starting to wake up, which is wonderful because sometimes it's very tricky with lions because they tend to just fall asleep. And if you look at all the grass that's around here, it's very hard to actually find them. And if they don't put their heads up, it's a little bit complicated to see them. But whoop, we've got two that have gotten up and have started moving. We've got a few more that seem to want to be getting up as well. And then the rest of them not too interested. I would say it's probably the big females, the ones that are almost interested in getting up, the adults, and start moving around. And it's the youngsters that are still like, no, Mom, 5 more minutes, please. And they don't really want to get up just yet. Might take them a little while, but I think we're going to get lucky and we're going to see a lot of lions getting up now. Ooh. Hello. Nice big stretch. Now, if you look at her... Oh, I was expecting for you to get up, but never mind. Nathan, you're wondering if I've ever been threatened by an animal? Well, I must say that lucky for us out here, unless something happens that where you sort of interrupt an animal or you're driving or walking doing a bushwalk and you bump into them in a way that, it gives them a bit of a fright, I feel like maybe those are the times where the animals have given me a warning. But when we're out here, in particular with the cars, they are so used to us moving around and driving because they've learned for generations, their moms, their grandmothers or great-grandmothers, they've seen cars come around, and we don't hunt them from the cars, we don't feed them from the cars, and we pretty much just try to stay away from them. And we also don't allow them to touch the cars, let's put it that way, if they can become a little bit too curious. So in that way, over generations, we've formed a very good relationship with not only lions, also with leopards, with elephants, with buffalo, and some antelope species, that they just know that we come around, we're not really going to do anything to them, and then they just carry on about their day, which is wonderful for us because, I mean, it's a very cool job that we've got to be able to spend time with the lions and see what they do out in the wild. So every now and again it'll happen that perhaps an animal is having a bad day, perhaps we bump into them at close quarters, but animals are very good in giving you a warning, or at least the majority of them. Well, they'll just let you know in their own animal way. You just got to read their body language, and then they'll just give you a warning. They'll be like, no, you're too close, I don't like this, or, you know, I don't feel comfortable. And they'll either, with the lions, for example, they'll either start flicking their tail or moving around, so they'll be able to tell you. At least some of the predators, well, lions are a big predator that we've got, perhaps the biggest predator that we've got here in this part of South Africa, and then just a little bit smaller than lions, and we get a variety of things like the hyenas, then we get the leopards, the cheetahs, and then we start going down to smaller creatures that we get all around, like smaller cats, and we go all the way down to smaller carnivores, perhaps something like a centipede or a mongoose or tiny little things all around. You see, all the lions are going onto the other side of the tree, and it seems like they're taking their time, doing their morning routine, starting to move around. Page, all animals get tired when they chase their prey, so it's the only animal that will chase for a significant period of time, I would say, is perhaps a cheetah, but it's not a very long time, because although they are very fast, they're the fastest land mammal, they get tired after a little while and they've got to stop. The same with the wild ducks, which is another predator that we have, very endangered, looks very much like a domestic dog, but it's got beautiful big ears. They can run for a very long time, but at some point they also need to stop down and rest. And then, for example, the lions and the leopards, they don't go after their prey and they don't run them down. What they do is they start stalking them, so they try to get as close as possible as they can to then be able just to pounce or jump on their prey species, so that they don't have to run for too long, or they don't have to spend a lot of energy. So they're very patient in most cases, and they have to take a very long time to try and get close to their prey. Colin, it's a bit of a debate as to why they sleep for so long. Part of the reason, or one of the most accepted theories, is that because they are such big animals, and during the hotter part of the day, it would mean that they could potentially overheat. So they tend to sleep pretty much throughout the day, or the majority of the day, and then they do most of their movements, most of their walking around, their patrolling, and their hunting at night. So they're considered mostly nocturnal creatures, although animals have a funny way of never doing exactly what is written on a book. So we've also seen them hunting during the day. Beautiful. Seems like we are very lucky today, as one of our other guys is all the way in the Masai Mara in Kenya, and he's got very similar creatures out in the night.
Hello, boys and girls of Hookset Memorial School, and welcome to a different country, a different game reserve, and different lions. And I'm sure you notice one thing very quickly: it's a bit dark where we are. Well, my name is David, and with me on camera is Archie. Archie, how are you? And Archie says, boys and girls, welcome to Kenya. Well, I'm sure my friend already told you as much as you can. Ask us questions and send comments as usual through your teachers. We're very excited to have you on board, because we have a very special group of lions here, and I know its name, and I call it the Sausage Pride. Sausage Pride because among these lionesses here that are trying to disappear and go in the grass, they love to climb trees. Micho, that's a very good question, and thank you for following my instructions, or Ali's instructions, or Tristan's, for asking us questions. And you're asking, have I ever seen a fight between lions? Yes, I have seen, and have seen that many times. But Micho, in general, tell you, it's only the boys that fight, not the females. So the boys will fight sometimes because of food, sometimes they want take control of the females or the girls, or sometimes they want to take control of a particular territory, or sometimes when they're fighting other predators like hyenas or leopards. That's the only time you'll see them fighting. But I've seen that many times because I'm always out here in the wilderness or in the bush of the Masai Mara Triangle in Kenya. So what you're going to do, we're going to move forward a little bit, and as you do that, look, you want to know how fast are lions, and I think you use metric of the imperial system, but you can say lions can run as fast as 60 kilometers in an hour. Will you believe that? 60 kilometers an hour, or about 38, 40 miles an hour, more or less. That is how fast lions can run. What I can tell you is the females that run that fast and not the males. The males are big and they are a bit slow and they do not run as fast. And I'm sure, Luke, the fastest animal we got, it is the cheetah. Do you agree with me, Luke? Okay, what I want to do is to see whether we can go a little bit closer to these animals. And I was saying earlier, would you like to know how many babies do lions have at a time? Now, it depends. It could be one baby, it could be two, it could be 3 or 4. Maximum would be 4. Of course, the smallest number would be 1. But in average, they get 2 babies. In average, they get 2 babies that we call cubs. Now, look, what we want to do is to see whether we can focus to our lions. And I'm sure you have noticed a very big difference of where I am in Kenya with these very playful lions and where my friend Ali is in South Africa. Here, it's rather dark because we are 1 hour ahead of South Africa and it gets darker faster or earlier than South Africa. And for that reason, we're using a very special camera that's called infrared that makes us to see these animals without us disturbing them. So we do not shine any light or any artificial light to them so that they can keep doing what they like doing at their best. That's why those lions may look black and white. Wandering lions look a bit tawny or a bit brown. And you're wondering, why they look that way, and that explains because it's a bit dark here. John, you'd like to know, do lions run or walk most of the time? It's both, but I would say more often than not, they walk, John. They only run, of course, like now, when they're playing, they're jumping up and down with their cubs, or when they're looking for food. They have to run, they have to catch a zebra, they have to catch a wildebeest, they have to catch some sort of antelope, or even buffalo. That's the time they run. So, but in general, they are always walking. Look at that one there. He's having a toilet break. And just like the cats you have at home, we have seen cats out there once they do a wee, they'll always cover their wee or their poo. It's a very similar thing that lions will do. If you look carefully, the 2 small ones there, they just turned the eyes on the other side. And every time I try to get close to them, they keep disappearing in the grass. Let me just try and go a little closer. And as I do that, I think my friend Tristan have very interesting animals for you.
Well, hello everybody and welcome. You've joined us at just the right time because we've got one of the rarest animals that we see out here that's a predator. Now these are called wild dogs. Can you hear them squeaking? Now wild dogs are an amazing creature and one of many guides' favorite animals because they're very, very active and they run around all over the place and they'll hunt all kinds of different animals. And so we're very lucky to see them. There's not very many of these guys left in the world. In fact, only probably about 3,000 left in total worldwide, which gives you an idea. It's not very much at all. Now, they're busy feeding on the remains of a carcass at the moment. I think they managed to kill something this morning, and so they've been eating the ribs of whatever it was. It's in an area where there were lots of vultures during the course of today, and we came and had a little look here earlier, and we didn't have any luck, but now the dogs have kind of just arrived, and so very, very exciting. Now, before I'm rude and don't tell you who I am, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got BK this afternoon, and it is a very warm welcome to all of you. Hopefully you're going to love the fact that we're in Africa, and you're getting spoiled already with lions, and like I say, now wild dogs. This is a very, very special animal, see, and one that you don't get to see all that regularly. Now you can see how well they camouflage when they do decide to lie down. It can be really tricky to kind of see them. They lie in this long grass, and their coat color is that of a sort of black and tan, and it makes it really tough to actually see them. And so a lot of the time with wild dogs is you smell them before you actually see them. You'll have a situation where they will kind of smell like a very strong kind of smell. I can't explain what kind of smell it is because it's just wild dog. It's nothing else in the world that smells like this. And you often smell them before you see them. But the animal that they brought down must have kind of been killed, like I say, early hours of today, because there's been lots of vulture activity around, which means that these guys have kind of been through here for quite some time. But you can see this one is eating very fast. When these dogs eat, they eat as quick as they can. And the reason they eat so fast is because often hyenas are tailing them. Paige, how close can we get to the animals? Well, a lot of the animals are very relaxed with us, and so we can get very close to them. We're very lucky that we can. So I would say the closest we get is probably within maybe, sometimes I had a leopard yesterday evening, or was it this evening or the evening before, that was lying underneath the car basically, which is very unusual. Often not that close, but we do get them fairly close. As long as you are respectful and don't try and chase them or anything like that, then generally all is okay. Now, where is that dog gone? They're running at the moment. So this is the problem with wild dogs, is keeping up with them can be very, very difficult. And so we're going to try and cross a steep little drainage section here. Just got to go slowly, because otherwise the car is going to get hit, and then it's going to be difficult to kind of follow them. But there we go, we're up and through, which is good news. And so we're going to try and kind of keep up with them as they run around. There should be in total 8 wild dogs here. Oh, hello, you're right here. Are you busy eating still? So there's a wild dog that's just on my left-hand side right here, that is busy chomping away on those ribs that it was carrying. So it's having a little rib snack at the moment. And like I said, there should be 8 of them running around here. Maybe the rest have eaten already and they're now off to go and find something else. You'll find when wild dogs hunt, they hunt all over the place. Everyone will grab a different kind of piece and we'll all have a bit of a meal together. So there we go, it's decided that's finished, and now off it goes. So we're going to try and keep up. It's going to be difficult because they move so fast, but we're definitely going to try and see if we can keep where they are going. Now, they're running into a direction that's difficult to kind of go to, but I have an idea of where they're heading, so we're just going to try and loop around so long and try and see if I can see them ahead of where they're running at the moment. So let's try and get through here. You want to be careful when you follow wild dogs, because driving through here is lots of stumps and holes and makes very, very tricky. Now, a lot of you want to know what is the maximum size of the wild dogs. Well, a big male wild dog is probably only weighing in pounds about 50 to 60 pounds, whereas the females are probably in the region of about 40 to 50 pounds. So the males are much bigger than the females. Now, a lot of them are kind of inside, running up and down and all over the place. And I'm just getting a call on the radio. Go ahead, Rex. So, Cohen, wild dogs don't live all that long. Unfortunately, you've got a lot of natural predators, so things like lions, hyenas, and so the sort of average age within this system is about 4 years old. If they are in captivity, they can live to 12, 13, somewhere there, but for the most part, sort of the average age in this area, like I say, is about 4 because of all the competition with other wild animals and predators. Right, so they haven't come this way, so we need to turn around and go back the way we were. And so while we try and find them once again and show you the wild dogs, hopefully one more time, let's send you across to Ali. Well, she's with another predator to show all of you.
Well, it seems like the lions have decided to get up and moving just from where they were. They've walked into the main road. So you can see there's a beautiful, stunning road over here. So half of them are there. And then the rest of the pride is right here. So we don't want to drive and park the car in the middle of the road, because then that would mean that they cannot see each other or that they have to loop around, which is not ideal. Now, if you see the road, I wonder, this road over there that goes in that direction, that is another property. That is an area where we cannot drive. So if the lions go in there, and I'm afraid that they might, then we're not going to be able to follow them for a little bit, for any longer. Mitchell lions feed on meat mainly, so this is why they're considered predators, and they will hunt a variety of animals from medium-sized to big animals like an impala, which is a species of antelope, and they will hunt kudu, which is another bigger species of antelope. They will also eat gnus, or wildebeest as we call them here, buffalo, and when they're smaller, perhaps even smaller antelope. But I think these particular ones are hungry and seems like they're looking for their next meal. It's a little bit tricky to tell. I think, unfortunately, it looked promising earlier on that they were going to cross and go deeper into the area where we can drive. But unfortunately, it seems like they're all now facing the wrong road. One of the lionesses, the older lioness, went in there. So she's actually the one that is now leading the pride. And then she walked in there and then she carried on moving around. Jack, well, lions, as you can see now, they are very sociable. So they are considered the only sociable cat, and then they tend to live in nice big family groups. Sometimes you will find, for example, either a male on his own or just a female on her own. But normally, lions are considered animals that need to have a family, or at least a brother. In the case of males, brothers. They don't need to, but they'll have them around. So it's part of, or one of their survival strategies. Sometimes being together with other lions just gives you a better chance of surviving than being by yourself. Either if you're a female lion or a girl, or if you're a boy. And sometimes what will happen is that the females, they all live together in one big family, and then the daughters and the girls that are born into that family, they stay with that family. And the boys, and they go off their own way. Sometimes with their other boy brothers or male cousins and so on. Just because, it's better to have company. They've got a better success rate of hunting if they hunt together sometimes. So it's convenient for them to live in family. So it's a bit of a tricky question. Nobody knows if they became this big because they were very successful when hunting together as a group or as a family, or if they actually managed to have it the other way around, where because they were so big, then they realized that it was easy to have the company of others and then bring down bigger creatures. Seems like they're all pretty settled for now. Paige, lions and predators in general don't eat the same way as we do. So sometimes they won't eat enough for a day, but because they cannot hunt something or they don't manage to hunt something. But then sometimes they'll manage to bring down a big animal, maybe like a buffalo or maybe a giraffe. And in some areas, either perhaps even an elephant. And then they'll eat until their stomachs become a big fat bowl full of meat. So sometimes that's about in one day they can eat up to 20 kilograms of meat if they eat a lot. So that is a lot of meat, a lot, enough to make any human a little bit sick. Beautiful lying down there. Seems like he doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to go hunting yet. And what could be happening now is that the older female that I mentioned earlier that went onto the road and hunting, maybe she's looking for something to hunt there. And then if she does find something, maybe she'll push it onto the rest of the pride and maybe they'll catch something. It's hard to tell what she's going on, but everybody seems to have now stopped and are waiting for her to give them a sign as to what it is that they want to do. We've got another adult female that's probably going to walk in front of us. A lot of the predators, like the lions, often miss their prey when they go hunting. As a matter of fact, out of 10 times that they go hunting, maybe they only get it right 4 times out of 10. That is if they get lucky. So they've got to try a lot. Oh, you're coming to sleep next to us. Hi. So a lot of the times they've got to try many times before they actually manage to bring something down or to have a nice meal all together. It's not easy being a lion in terms of the hunting that they've got to do, but also the prey species or that the animals that they hunt are also very clever and have very interesting adaptations that allows them to find out or to have either a better sense of smell or a better sense of hearing, just to know when there's a predator like a lion that might be coming around. That's a pretty golden eye, like the 007 movie. You see, the lions are still sleepy, so even if they've gotten moving and it's not nighttime yet, I think it's because they're hungry, but likely they're going to carry on moving for quite a period of time this evening, looking for something to eat. Paige, well, the lions have special eyes, and as do some of the other nighttime creatures that we get, that allows them to have better vision in the nighttime. And then, of course, if there's a night where there's a full moon, there's a lot of light that they use, and that way they're allowed to see better at night. They've got a specialized eye that is able to detect, perhaps they don't see in color as much, but their eyes are able to detect the movement of creatures and the details and the things that they see. And then behind their eye, they've got an interesting layer or a membrane that is almost like what it does. It's when the light goes in, it reflects it the second time. To be able, I don't know if you've done eyes on science yet, but it's quite an interesting mechanism as how our eyes work. And then the lions just have an extra something at the back of their eye that allows them to use very little light to produce the image of what it is that they're seeing. I wonder if the other female's gonna come here. Seems like everybody's pretty relaxed now. Cullen, lions get clean by using their tongues. So they don't go in the water, at least not as much in this area, to go have a bath and then get rid of things, but they have a bath exactly like that female is doing on screen. So they'll use their tongues, which almost acts like a cum, to get rid of all the little pieces of dirt, perhaps even little pieces of meat that might be in there, or even parasites, to clean their fur. Now, it's just like the movies. They will also clean their little ones if they've got little ones, and then they'll grab them and start licking them. And they will lick each other to give each other a bath to help each other maintain their coat condition. There we go. She's cleaning herself, grooming herself over there. So perhaps there was something there. Cameron, their ears twitch for a number of reasons, mainly either because there's there's a big yawn going there, look at those teeth. The ears twitch either because there are tiny little insects flying around like flies and so on that might be bothering them, so they twitch their ears to shoo them away. But their ears are also constantly moving to detect the noises from all the animals that might be around. They've got a very good sense of hearing, and then their ears act like little satellite dishes that capture the noises from all around. You guys, you're being very lazy today. What's happening? You've just come to lie on the main road. Not too bad. As long as they stay on the main road, we will be very happy because we would like them to come to the right. Alexa, the lionesses could fight if they bumped into other lions that they're not related to. So the females, if they're all in one family, then they get along and they don't really fight unless there's a meal or something, and then they fight for the meal. But they don't fight to chase each other away. They're used to living in groups. So they tolerate the presence, or they're happy with other lions or of their family being around. If it were lions of another family or lions that they don't know, then they can fight because they don't want to share their space or the area where they live in with other groups of female lions that they do not know. Just thought that perhaps I saw the other lioness crossing back, but nope. Now, if you see this one, this is a young male lion, the one that's sleeping down there, and he's a bit of an exception to the rule. So he wasn't born to any of the females in this pride, but slowly but surely, being very patient and very wary of what he's done, he's managed to creep his way into the pride. Are you guys listening to this side? Now we've got all of the heads pointing onto the other side. And it sounds like there's something over there. Cameron, one of the reasons why lions have black spots behind their ears is, well, one, to give the little cubs when they follow their moms. It's also why the tip of the tail is black. And a thing to focus on in the long grass. It's almost like a flag that they have. So if somebody's following from behind, they know what to look for. Ooh, they're roaring. Can you hear that? Starting to call. How amazing was that? How lucky to hear the roar. Well, not proper full-on roar. They can go much, much louder than what we heard them. But I think that is them looking for that other female that was earlier that walked in that particular direction. I think it was their way of telling her something, either that they're going to carry on walking or that they're going to try their luck somewhere else. Because just as soon as we did that, then you see, they've all started walking. So they're right very, very close to her vehicle. There's the lioness. She's come back all the way there. So I think what they were saying to her was like, no, we're not going to look for here. We're going to carry on looking. Come back. We're going to look somewhere else. Perhaps also earlier they all looked into a different direction, and that's what, why they were calling her. And it seems like there's definitely something that's caught their attention now. See how he's looking? I cannot see anything, and I cannot tell what it is that they're looking at, but maybe it's an impala, maybe it's a buffalo, although I don't think so because we would have heard it. But maybe it's something that they're going to try and hunt. Who knows? This is the last one that's behind. The rest of them are just walking now down the road. Hello, girl. Their teeth go in. Their teeth are very big, enough that you wouldn't want to be bitten by them. It seems like this poor girl has actually an injury on her right front ankle, but it almost seems like maybe she sprained her ankle. But I think it's going to be fine because we saw her last week and she was limping a lot more, so I think she will recover from this. Now we've got a whole line of lions that has been going down the road, so what I'm going to try and do is drive next to them, not on the road, to see if maybe we can go around them and then have them all walking towards us, because that would be pretty epic. Let's try this. Whoop. And then maybe we'll be able to see them. But it's a pretty cool view to have a whole pride of lions walking in front of us. Alright, while we try to go all the way around them, and hopefully get a view of them all the way coming to us, we'll send you guys back across to David all the way in the Masai Mara.
Well, boys and girls, how nice to have seen lions. Initially, you saw my lions. You went to see the lions early, but unfortunately, mine entered in some thickets and they disappeared. And I would say the reason that happened is because it was getting cold, and of course, it's very dark here, as you can see. I got my lights on. And the mothers of these cubs are very clever. They don't want their cubs to inhale cold air because they can easily get something like a cold or flu, and they start sneezing and coughing. So they were taken in a nice place where it's sheltered and can spend the night there until maybe tomorrow morning when they'll come out again. So I decided, let me move on. But I knew Ali had those lions, which I'm sure you have enjoyed to watch. So what I'm doing now is just to drive around and chancing anything on the road. And at night, like now, we have seen maybe other lions walking in the middle of the road, or hyenas, or even scrub hares. It could be anything. And also, I got my spotlight. And what I do with my spotlight is to switch it on, and I keep moving it from left to right, left because I could see something on the grass. And I'm telling Archie, who is the camera operator with me today, let's see if we could get either buffaloes or elephants on the side of the road. Who knows? And as I keep trying to do that, I'll take you back to South Africa because Tristan got an interesting card for you.
Well, unfortunately, our wild dogs ran off and we lost them, but we do have a leopard instead, which is pretty cool. So you guys are being absolutely spoilt this afternoon with two prides of lions, wild dogs, and now the most beautiful animal of them all, in my opinion, a leopard. And so this is a young little female leopard that we've got. She's about 15 months old. And she does have a kill close by that she's been feeding on. She caught, well, her mom caught a little baby impala for her. I don't know where mom is at the moment. Mom has been absent this afternoon. We sat with her for quite a long time this afternoon and not too far from where the wild dogs were, so we kind of came this way just to see what she's getting up and to show all of you how beautiful a leopard really is. Now, at the moment, she's just resting and kind of not moving too much. As it starts to get darker is so the time when leopards start to kind of move more, and I'm hoping she's going to be able to go and climb a tree for you. But wait, she stood up now. I wonder if maybe mom is coming back. So we're just going to look through behind us because it could be that her mother's coming back to this area. You see how she's just shot straight upright like that? Now that's a sign that she's noticed something. So her ears have picked something up and she's watching. Look at how big her eyes are. So she's staring, trying to see what is going on. Now, like I say, she's expecting her mom to kind of come back to this area. It could also be something like a hyena, because she's got a kill in this area. Hyenas can smell it, and then they come and they kind of investigate as to what's going on. She hasn't chuffed yet, so chuffing is a sound that she'll make when she sees her mom. It's a kind of low little snorting sound. It kind of goes so you see she's kind of reacted to me doing it because she's expecting her mom. So I'm not going to do it again, but that's the sound that she would make if she sees her mother or her mother sees her and is calling her. And also little kind of soft little contact calls that are like little growls to one another that she might kind of do. There could also be a third leopard that might arrive here, and that would be her dad, and his name is Tingana, and he kind of often arrives at carcasses. He's got a nose to find carcasses, and while male leopards don't actually spend time with their cubs or the female, they will sometimes come along and steal the food from a cub like this because it's easier than going to go hunt his own. Kaylin, why do we give the animals names? Well, some of the animals are given names as ID kits, basically, so we know who they are, and we're able to then follow the progress of that animal through its life, and it helps researchers when they kind of move around. It also helps guides, because remember, this area is not just us doing this with our cameras. There's also people that come to this area to come and see these animals in real life, and if they've seen this little leopard and then tomorrow this leopard is seen as well as another one, it's very difficult to describe which leopards are which without giving them some sort of an ID feature. So the name can be anything, or, you know, it could be just something along their spot pattern. Right, now it sounds like the lions are moving, and so before they disappear, let's send you back across to Ali.
Right, it seems like the lions are going to carry on their hunt in an area where unfortunately we cannot drive, so this is probably going to be the last look that we're going to have for this evening. You see, they're all taking a path, and they're going right up here, and they're all walking in a single file following the big females that were also roaring a little bit earlier on. So as they carry on moving in there, unfortunately we're not going to be able to see them because, as you can see, there are a lot of trees, a lot of vegetation that is in the way. And then, of course, there's the added fact that we cannot drive in there, but we can see their heads going away, and you can see the black of the ears that acts as a flag, as I was telling you earlier, for everyone to follow each other. So sad. Seems like we've lost them now, but I mean, we had such a fantastic view of them, and then of course when they were roaring and calling, that was incredible. Now I think maybe there's something down there that they're interested in hunting, and that's why they went there, because their ears were perked and they were looking in that general direction and so on. So at least we got them, which is very awesome. So let's send you guys back across to Tristan and his spotted friend.
Well, as you can see, our little leopard is still sitting, looking around, and it's unfortunate that the lions decided to leave us. I was hoping that they were going to spend some more time, but really cool that you guys got to hear them roaring and to see them kind of moving around. Lions are amazing creatures as well, but they're not quite the same as a leopard. In my book, a leopard is a far prettier animal, and I love leopards because of the way that they have to live a lot of their life on their own. So just now I was saying that her dad might arrive here, but her dad doesn't really kind of contribute in any way. He just really kind of makes little babies, and then he spends all his time on his own, and so it's mom that has to really look after these little ones. And soon this little girl is going to be on her own as well, and she's going to be starting her life as a little adult leopard, and that's going to be probably in the next, I would say, 6 months. And then from there she's what we kind of term a sub-adult leopard. And then she's a sub-adult all the way until she reaches about 3.5 years old, where she can start to then reproduce for the first time and have her own little cubs. And so it's a long time until she's safe from a lot of different things like male leopards, who will often kill cubs to get the females back into estrus. So she's got a long way to go. Mitchell, how old do leopards get? It depends the area that you're in and the density of leopards, but generally what you'll find is that a male leopard lives slightly shorter than a female leopard. So boy leopards will live to around roughly 12 to 14 years old, whereas little girl leopards will live to probably between sort of 14 and 16 years old, but that can kind of be different in different areas. Most of the time in this area it's about 12 years for the males and about 14 to 15 for the females. That's kind of the average for this particular part of the world. But she's just kind of turned now. I'm sure she's hoping to see her mom somewhere here. I'm sure mom is very close. It's just the grass is so long. There she goes. I think she might have spotted her mom. Let's just try and kind of move and see if we can see where mom is. Paige, why do they stay still for so long? Well, the thing is about a leopard is it's an ambush predator. So what ambush means is that they use their camouflage, so their spots, to blend in, and from there they then pounce on something that's very close to them. And so that means that they've got to sit still and be patient and wait. The other thing is that this leopard has got a meal right here. So it's got a little food item in the tree, which hopefully she's going to go to just now, and that means that she doesn't have to go anywhere. She went for a drink of water earlier, and so for her it's just about resting and getting all the energy she can and make sure that she keeps kind of growing and keeping her energy up. Right, I'm going to follow her and just see if she's going to her mom. Her mom might be somewhere close by here. It's so nice when you see the two of them kind of come together, because they'll rub their heads together and they'll be very happy to see one another for a short period, because her mom gets a bit grumpy and she'll sometimes snarl at the little one after a few head rubs together. Now, I believe that maybe Tundi was seen in the frame. I don't see her, so I'm not sure where you would have seen her, but let's have a little look around. It's getting quite dark now, so it's tricky to see a leopard in this kind of color range or in this light. But I'm going to get my spotlight. Cameron, what do leopards eat during the day? Well, a leopard will eat either in the day or the night. And what they eat depends on what comes their way. A leopard has a very kind of unique ability to catch many different things, from insects all the way to baby elephants. And so, in fact, there was a study that was busy being done on leopards, and they recorded 38 different species of leopards being killed. Of species that leopards have killed over the course of the last year. So there's quite a 34, sorry, I think was the number. There's a lot of different species that leopards go after, and they will eat like I say, anything from insects, but most of the time what they feed on is small to medium-sized antelope, so things like deer or deer. We here call them impalas or duikers or steenbok. That's all different types of antelope, but an impala is probably the closest towards the size of your deer. Now, are you going to go to the toilet right in front of us? Oh, goodness, she's going to go to the loo right in front of the car. So you were asking earlier how close they sometimes get. You can see sometimes the leopards will get quite close to the front of the car. They're not too worried about it, and it's why this area is one of the best areas in the world for looking for leopards, because the leopards here are so relaxed. Tamron, how many baby leopards do the moms have? Well, normally on average 2, but can be 3 and also 1. So, but most of the time is kind of the average number is 2. But you can see, look, she's just coming to say hello, just coming to look and see what's going on. Hello, little Tlalamba. No, you're not allowed up there. That's not for you. So she's just having a little sniff around just to see what this big object is. At this age, she's still quite young, and so she's quite curious about what goes on. And so she likes to kind of come and investigate things all around her. And so that's why sometimes she'll kind of come up to the front of the car just to have a quick look and see what's going on. Now, you're going to go to your kill, and let's see if she's going to go to the kill that she's got. Now, Luke, how big can leopards get? Leopards, well, a female leopard is smaller than the male, so a female leopard will range, depending on the area, from anywhere... Oh, you're going to lie right behind us. So she's lying literally behind the vehicle at the moment. You can see the backside of the car, and she's just kind of peering at us through the little gap. But essentially, a female leopard will weigh anywhere between 30 pounds, or actually even 25 pounds, all the way up to about 90 pounds, whereas a male leopard can weigh anywhere from sort of 150 to 200 pounds. So they get much, much bigger. The leopards in this part of the world, here in the savannas of Africa, they are the biggest that you get. So here and some of them in India and in Sri Lanka, and the males will constantly be around sort of 170 to 200 pounds. If you go to some areas where it's mountainous, you'll find that the leopards in those areas, a male leopard will be only about 100 pounds, and that's because he can't find the big prey animals like they find here. He has to rely on things like little mice and those kinds of things in order to survive. But you can see she's kind of decided that's where she's going to sit, so we can't go anywhere until she decides to move, unfortunately. But it's that time of the day, though, where we're going to say goodbye to all of you guys. I hope that you had the most wonderful time with us in Africa. It was an action-packed school safari this afternoon, and you got to see all kinds of amazing creatures, and I hope that you won't have any homework this afternoon, and I hope that you will have a lovely day further. So from all of us, we'll see you all soon, and for our regular viewers, we'll see you tomorrow morning on our Sunrise Safari.